Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today we're taking a look at the JNG-90 sniper rifle. Now, I've got to admit, I hadn't really touched this rifle before the fall patch because honestly there really wasn't a reason to. The bolt action category was probably one of the least balanced weapon categories in the game, and guns like the GOL, the M98B and the SRR61 outclassed just about everything else. In the recent patch, a lot of the bolt actions have been rebalanced, with weapons like the JNG and the CSLR4 getting buffed, and the GOL Magnum getting nerfed. Unfortunately though, the balance in this category still isn't perfect, with rifles like the SV98 and the L96 still outclassed by pretty much everything else. At least DICE are trying to make improvements to this category though, which is a good thing because it now gives us all a reason to use weapons like the JNG-90. And hasn't the JNG been improved? This gun has gone from being one of the least useful bolt actions in the game to one of the best, and as you can see in these clips, it's a very easy weapon to do well with. Statistically, this gun is very similar to pre-patch, but it's been given a serious buff to muzzle velocity, which is, after all, one of the most important stats of any sniper rifle. But anyway, let's take a look at its stats and see how this gun works. The JNG-90 fires at a fairly slow 41 RPM and deals a maximum damage of 100 out to 12.5 meters, which drops off to its minimum damage of 59 at 100 meters. This mid-level damage model translates into a minimum of a one-shot kill at close range and a two-shot kill at all other ranges. Like most bolt actions, the JNG will also kill with one bullet to the head at all ranges, and it also has a good chance of taking out injured targets with one bullet as well. What limits the JNG though is that while its damage model falls into the mid-range category along with weapons like the M40 and the L96, it's firing at a similar slow rate as the hard-hitting bolt actions like the M98B. This seriously limits its ability for quick follow-up shots in close quarters, and along with the fact that it wasn't a great long-range weapon either, this is a big part of what made the JNG so unpopular pre-patch. Pre-patch, this weapon had only a 560 meters per second muzzle velocity, which has since been buffed to a massive 670 meters per second. This makes the JNG much more effective at long range by reducing bullet drop and decreasing lead on a target, and I think this more than makes up for the fact that it's not the fastest firing or hardest hitting bolt action in the game. Now, as for the rest of the JNG stats, well, it's actually pretty average across the board, with an 11 round capacity and the same recoil and base accuracy as most of the other bolt actions. One thing that is worth noting though is that the JNG actually has a pretty decent reload time, which at 4.2 seconds when empty and 2.7 seconds with a bullet in the chamber is second only to the M40. But anyway, how does the JNG perform in-game? Well, it performs surprisingly well now. I mean, I'm sure the changes to suppression and netcode are a big part of why sniping feels so solid now, but I really think that the JNG makes things so much easier. Leading targets with this gun is almost effortless, and the fact that your shots travel so fast gives enemies a much smaller window to jump out of the way. The M98B was probably my favourite bolt action pre-patch for this exact reason, and the JNG-90 is now a fraction better in this respect, even if it doesn't hit quite as hard. I mean, sure, the SRR61 is probably still better for extreme long range, and the M40 and GOL are probably still better for super aggressive recon. The JNG just feels great to me now though, and I can definitely see it becoming one of my go-to bolt actions, and this is saying a lot considering how bad it was before, and how many other great bolt actions there are in the category already. But anyway, to finish up this review, what attachments would I recommend for the JNG-90? Well, one of the drawbacks of the JNG is that its default scope is the Russian 7x scope. This isn't a bad scope, but I think just about everyone would agree that the US 8x is much better, and if it wasn't a battle pack unlock, I probably would have used this scope instead. I also tend to run all of my sniper rifles with a variable zoom, although I must admit I'm not using it in either of these clips. I think it's a much more useful attachment than any of the other attachments in this slot, but if you're the kind of player who likes to run one scope only, then you might prefer the rangefinder or something else instead. Now, the straight pull is another go-to attachment for most people, but honestly I think that with a weapon that fires so slowly, it's not a huge disadvantage to run with the bipod instead. This gun definitely has the potential to perform as a decent counter-sniping weapon, so if you're the kind of player who likes to go for 500 plus meter headshots, then you definitely can consider running the JNG with a bipod and even a 20x scope. The only attachment that I wouldn't run on this rifle though is the suppressor, because the last thing that you want to do is nerf the stat which makes it so great, its muzzle velocity. There's plenty of other sniper rifles and DMRs better suited for a stealth playstyle, so it's pointless using this gun in that role, so don't bother because it's certainly not what it's designed for. But anyway, that just about wraps up this review, so before you go, make sure you let me know what you think of the JNG-90 in the comment section below. Also, what do you think of the changes to the CS LR4 and the Gold Magnum? Do you think that the bolt actions are balanced now, and if not, what do you think they need to change? As always, if you like what you see, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and if you haven't already, please check out all my other Battlefield 4 videos. I've got them all linked in a playlist in the description below. But until next time, see you later and have a good one.